What's up, family? How you guys doing today? I'm here with Milky Tech, and we're in our part 2 of our little special series where we are building a computer for my little brother. Without further ado, let's just dive right into it and build this PC. But before we continue, if you guys enjoy this content and want to see more, smash that like and hit subscribe. It helps out the channel greatly. So let's get this done. Alright guys, what I like to do is before I build the computer is to build it on the outside. This way, if there's any problems, you get to fix it right now, get new parts, whatever you have to do. So, first thing I want to do is install the CPU. You got this lever down here, pop it open, bring it to the top, grab our CPU, take it out. As you can see, there is that gold triangle. So what you do is you want to match that gold triangle with a triangle on the plastic cap, which is right there. Let's see if I can bring it a little bit closer. With that triangle right there. So let's open this back up. Place the CPU in. Nice and snug. Pop that open like that. And boom. And boom. It is installed. Keep this cap just in case you want to change your motherboard or something. You protect the pins with this cap. Next thing we want to do is install the RAM. And there's only one way the RAM can go. We have one short end here and a long end. So you want to match it that way. And over here, it tells you how to place the RAM. So it says DIMM 1, DIMM 2, DIMM 1, DIMM 2. So you want to install your RAMs for dual channel in 1, 1 or 2, 2. Otherwise, it's going to be single channel. So we're going to open up 1 and 3. We'll get our RAM sticks, slide it in till it clicks, boom, grab the second one, and it clicks in, boom. Next thing you want to do is install the M.2 SSD, and it installs under this heatsink over here. Let's remove these two screws, and put our little magnetic part tray right here, take out our heatsink. Now there's a screw over here you want to take out as well. And now we want to slide in our M.2. And this is how you know it's installed correctly. There's like a little bounce. Our M.2 is installed. Next thing you want to do is always make sure to remove any plastics. Ooh, we just removed everything. On any heatsink, make sure you always remove the plastic covers. This way transfer can be done correctly. Otherwise, you won't have any heat transfer, and this thermal pad here won't be able to do anything to transfer the heat. We have little two cutouts right there, boom, and it's just a reverse process. And it's installed. The next thing I'm going to dry fit is the graphics card. Take out the little protective piece. It goes right here. Lock it into place. Now let's put this aside and test out the power supply before connecting everything. Now there are two different ways that you can test out, well really 3 different ways how to test the power supply out. One, you could always jump pin 16 and 17 with any wire and that should turn everything on. 2, you could use the included jumper right here. Or 3, you can use one of these and this will test out basically the entire power supply and its power delivery. So I'm going to show you these 2 different ways, so let's get started. I've already went ahead and connected the cables that we need. So now let's connect our power. We have power, and let's connect our motherboard connector to it. That didn't work. Let's make sure it's flipped on. There you go. We saw the fan spinning. We know it works. Now let's flip it off. And now we're going to test the power supply out with this universal power supply tester. First thing first, connect motherboard to it. Obviously there's still power left in the power supply even though it's disconnected. So always be careful with power supplies. Red is PCIe, so let's connect PCIe. Black is CPU. Flip power on and boom. We are getting measurements and it works. Let's get our motherboard back and test it out. Make sure all the parts are working. Alright, let's connect all the power connectors to all the appropriate parts. Connect the motherboard connector. Next is going to be our VGA connectors, our PCIe power, and lastly our 8-pin CPU connectors. So I was hoping that the old Intel stock cooler would fit on here, but you know, it's just off by that much. But that's okay. We're just gonna turn on the computer for just a little bit, make sure all the lights are on, the fans are running, and it posts. So first you want to do, turn the power supply button on if it has one, and then you just want to short out the front panel connectors. So either way, you can either jump start it by shorting up the front panel connector, or I have this piece from an old HP computer. We're just gonna put it in there, press the button, and it'll turn on hopefully. And it turns on. Fantastic. Let's get on with slapping this stuff inside the case. Alright, so before we put the motherboard inside of the case, let's put in our back I/O shield. Put this in here till it clicks. Alright, our I/O shield is installed. Let's slide in our motherboard. The next thing you want to do is screw on our motherboard screws. I like how ROSEWILL label each baggie with what screws is in what bag. And it's good to have a slightly magnetic screwdriver while doing this. This way you don't lose any screws and it'll be easier to screw everything on. What I like to do is always screw on the middle screw first. This way you can put it on relatively evenly. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to flip the case over and install our power supply on the bottom. Always mount the fan on the bottom, this way it sucks fresh air on the bottom of the case. We'll use our power supply screws to screw it in. Alright, so we're going to put the SSD in the front. I'm going to use one of this. Grab two of the screws from their 2.5-inch HDD-CD-ROM. I haven't heard that in a minute. So I'm going to come back to put this at a later time. Reason being is I want to route the cable so that I can plug it in and then put it in. So it'll be nice and clean. At this point, normally I would install the graphic card, but since I'm installing the AIO, I want a little space to work. So that will be the last thing I put. So I guess right now we'll go for cable management. We're going to route the cables preliminary so we can have everything where it's supposed to be. And then we're going to add the bigger parts. Let's get it done. Let's flip this over. So I'm going to run the front panel connectors through here. We're going to run our USBs through here. And our audio. Run the motherboard through here. Big boy motherboard. Run the CPU cables through this little hole over here. Here. GPU underneath it. So we're going to have to run a Molex cable into the back. Not a problem. Ah yes, how much I hate these. You always have to finagle with them before they could actually connect. SATA, I'm gonna run this here. Alright, now I'm gonna run the SATA cable and I'm gonna use our 90-degree connector. This way it'll be nice and clean. I'm gonna run our SATA cable in that same hole, the power cable, and I'll put this right here. I think we got all our cables routed, so let's flip them over. And let's start connecting stuff. Plug in the SATA cable over here. Connect the motherboard cable right over here. The cable needs a little bit of convincing. USB 3.0 connection. USB 2.0 right next to it. And our front audio connector right over here. Now I want to connect our front panel connectors. In this area here, they have the parts diagrammed, so you know where to connect what cable. The bottom HDD LED connects. Reset switch. Power switch is right on top of it. Alright, the last thing that we want to connect in the front is the CPU power. And we have our CPU 8-pin power connectors connect. Alright, let's flip this guy over. Now let's work on getting our CPU AIO installed. The first thing we have to do is install our backplate. Alright, we'll take off this adhesive and put this down and push down just a little bit so that it holds. And let's flip it around. We're playing pancake with this computer. Let's put on, let's screw it on. Now Now, I know I'm using the Lean Leak kit, but the thread sizes are the same, so it should work. We're about to find out. So let's move this guy aside to assemble our AIO. So this is the front side, that's the back side. I'm gonna put the fans like so, this way for cable management. We'll use these screws here. Ooh, let's not lose any of the screws. Just gonna screw them in. I always like to go in a crisscross fashion. This way all screws is torqued down evenly. Let's bring back the computer to install this bad boy. And next thing, let's slap on the radiator to the top of the case. So before we put the radiator to the top, I'm going to connect a few cables up here. We're going to connect the pump cable up here. And we're going to daisy chain the fans together. We're going to do a CPU fan, a header, if it wants to go in. Next, I'm going to tilt a little bit, and I'm going to try to shove some of the cables out through here. So we struggle a little bit getting this in. All the cables here, and the RAM is literally touching fans, but it's not obstructing anything. So we're going to continue forward. Now we're putting the screws to mount the radiator to the top. What I like to do is just pre-put all the screws in. This way it's kind of held in and centered. Piece of metal, man. You don't know the piece of metal, man?
I don't know the piece of metal, man.
Alright, we're gonna slide in the bracket. I'm just dry fitting it now. Alright. Alright, right down the CPU. Show up. Always remember when you're tightening this, always go in crisscross fashion. You go in an X. This way you're putting even torque on it. And you don't want to tighten too much or you'll snap a screw. And I had that happen before. Not fun. Alright, our AIO is installed. Let's put in our graphic card. And the cable management is complete. Alright, so let's button this computer up. Remember, this is tempered glass. Be very gentle with it, even though tempered glass is strong. And that's why I'm not in the NBA. It's all magnetic. Alright, now that we are buttoned up, one last look. And that's how you guys put a PC together. A very simple process. Just follow the steps and you'll be able to build your own PC. Now stay tuned for the next part where we'll either clone Windows, do a brand new install, and then afterwards, maybe do an upgrade to Windows 11. And then, benchmark. And guys, remember, all links will be in the description below. If you guys have a question, a comment, or want to say hello, drop it in the comments below and I will see you guys next time. Peace.